Hi, Andrew. How are you today?
Hi, Carrie. I'm really wonderful. How are you today?
Great, thank you. We are
Are you
so
ready for another
excited.
lively? Ready for another lively session of CATE?
I am. Yes, we are here with our comedy astrology tarot education container. This was intended to be sort of a group class exploration. But Andrew and I have just been having so much fun doing this. We decided that we're going to record what we do together and then put it out there for anyone who's interested to learn a little bit more about the tarot through our unique weaving of comedy, astrology, tarot, and education, or Kate.
Yes, this is a great opportunity for us to weave together our skills and expertise around performance, playfulness, energy, and creativity, and see how these beautiful archetypes can inform our lives.
Wonderful. So I'm going to
Thanks
pause
for joining us.
yeah, I'm going to pause the music just so we can kind of get into a little bit of what we're going to be doing today. So Andrew usually starts us out with a really nice movement centering exercise. So let's get started.
So take a moment and close your eyes and take a deep breath and listen to the chimes. And just imagine that you are walking along a path through a beautiful forest and you come to a clearing in the forest. You can feel the earth beneath your feet, and the sunlight against your skin, and the breeze blowing through your hair. It's very gentle and peaceful. And you come to the clearing and you notice the other beautiful magical souls gathered together in a circle in the clearing. And you're circling around a beautiful stone well. And you go up to the well and you look inside and you can see your own reflection against the beautiful blue sky. And then you look up and you see the eyes of everyone around you. And just breathe into your core. Just breathe into your center. Go ahead and put your hand over your heart. Take 3 deep breaths. And just imagine that there's a golden cord of energy flowing through your spine. And it flows down through the center of your spine and down through your coccyx, down into the earth. Just take 3 deep breaths and breathe this golden cord of energy into the earth. Then take another 3 breaths and breathe up through your crown chakra and going up through the ceiling and up into the sky and up to connect to the vibrant, beautiful sun. And as we walk this path of magic and performance and playfulness, we move in alignment with the sun and the earth. And we move in alignment with our sacred core of our heart, connecting to other hearts and seeing how we can awaken each other to playfulness and creativity. 3 more deep breaths, and then when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
I feel like I'm floating right now. Thank you so much for that, Andrew.
Yeah, it feels good to be in flow across the electronic waves that are connecting us.
Yeah, and we were just talking before getting on this Zoom about how we're both kind of just feeling like there's something that's going to move or flow between us today. There's something about having picked the cards that we're going to be exploring today that I was like, I think this is going to be a really lovely episode. So And I don't know why I just said episode, but like, sure, we'll call this an episode of Comedy Astrology Tarot Education, in which you're going to be able to follow along with us. So if you're watching this at some point in February of 2023, thank you. And if you're watching this sometime in the future and this resonates with you, please let us know because we're excited to see sort of how this makes its way to whoever finds it. And if you are interested in continuing with education with us, we do have a previous video where we looked at the twos, the nines, and the second vertical line of the major arcana. And today we're going to be talking about the threes, the tens, and the third line of the major arcana. So what I have here is a traditional Modern Witch Tarot deck where I laid out the cards that we're going to be talking about today. Andrew, you can see these okay?
Yeah, I see them perfectly.
Fantastic. So if you're a tarot practitioner and you're watching, you can go ahead and lay these cards out for yourself. And if this is brand new to you and this is not something that you are like ready to explore, you can just sit back and kind of enjoy what we're going to show for you today. So the way this kind of has shaked out in the past is that Andrew and I have these cards in individual decks and we kind of shuffle them individually and pick a random one that we embody with a character or a scene or a situation that kind of displays like what this card's energy is. And then we talk about what we saw the other person do and guess what is the card that was picked, so that we can better kind of understand the multifaceted ways that the tarot can show up for one in life. Then we're going to do a nice little dance break. And then we kind of get into a bit more of the education behind it. So Andrew and I are both former educators. And so we do really like to lean on our education backgrounds to kind of show like what traditionally has been the meaning behind these cards, while also leaving room for whatever interpretations arise for whoever is watching this to be just as valid. We are not experts. We don't know more. We're not more intuitive than you. We've just studied these and we're telling you what we've understood of them. And you get a chance to kind of take what works for you and leave what doesn't, and then develop your own relationship with the cards. Is there anything I left out, Andrew?
So each of the cards has its own beautiful archetypal meaning, and we're here to help weave them together. And we've chosen these particular combinations of major and minor cards for their resonance together. So you'll notice as we're sharing about them how the threads of narration kind of bring them together in a unified whole.
Thank you. That was a great way of sort of threading that all together. So like I said, I've got the Modern Witch Tarot out there. So you can see that we've laid out the swords, the wands, the pentacles, and the cups of the minor arcana, and the threes and the tens. And then the vertical line of the major arcana, we always have the Fool as a part of these explorations because we like to remind ourselves to have that Fool energy in everything that we do. And then we have the Empress, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Star. So I also am shuffling with my Mystic Mondays tarot. Andrew, what are you using today?
I'm using the Thoth deck, the Aleister Crowley design deck, and it has a lot of rich imagery and also includes the astrology implications on each card.
Wonderful. So we each have these 12 cards in our hands and we're shuffling them. And whenever we pick a card, one of us is going to act that card out and we will see how we can embody that Fool energy as we explore sort of all of these cards together.
All right, I've got one ready.
Okay, if you're ready, go for it.
Oh, oh, so much pain, so much challenge and difficulty. Uh, the grief, the sorrow, the suffering. Oh, Oh, my dear friend has passed from this world to the next one. Oh, this is hard and agony. It's an expression of deep sorrow and longing. Oh, when will this wound ever heal? What can I do? What can I do? All I can do is cry and grieve and mourn. Scene.
Andrew, my heart was breaking with your heart. And as soon as you said the word pain, I like felt that piercing, which I felt like really embodied the Three of Swords, and also with the crying, kind of with the rain behind it. Because when I think of grief, I think of sort of those wounds that are there and take a long time to heal. Some like when I see this card, I mean, when blood has like congealed, it turns darker, right? And so you can see that, like with the Three of Swords, this has been like an old wound that is there and is just kind of like frozen in our hearts. And it takes a lot of gentleness, a lot of tenderness, and a lot of compassion to be able to kind of like gently remove those piercing wounds from our hearts and allow ourselves to feel that grief.
Precisely. And you nailed it. This is the Three of Swords, which is indicated by the planet Saturn in the sign of Libra. Uh, it's a it's an expression of kind of that deep wounding that we carry with us of loss, of various kinds, loss of relationship, loss within the family, um, a sense of like needing to move on and heal oneself from the trauma of losing the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully interpreted. And I really feel like for anyone who has seen this imagery before, like that is what we feel when we see it. So you did a beautiful job of embodying that.
Yeah, thank
Are
you for nailing it.
you ready for mine?
Yes.
Oh my God. I am so happy we're all together again. I am so happy that you came over to help celebrate this milestone in my life. Here. Let me pour you a drink. Oh, no, you need one too. All right. I just want to say thank you for being by my side. Like, man, it has been a bit of a journey. Um, but we're here. We're here together and we get to toast this beautiful milestone. We get to enjoy the camaraderie of being together and just celebrating life. It's been a while since we've been together. I've missed you. And the fact that we chose to spend this time together to honor each other and really see the accomplishments and just be there for one another, man, cheers to you and cheers to you and cheers to me. Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for loving me. I love you both so much. And I can't wait to continue on this next journey of life as we celebrate each other.
Wow, that is a very beautiful, enthusiastic expression of love, tenderness, abundance, and community, and really shows up with the Ten of Cups. I'm getting a Ten of Cups signal from you. Uh, so if this is exactly correct, this would be the Mars in Pisces, which is a sense of peacefulness, gentleness, and openness.
You were right on the suit, but I was doing the three. But I think this goes to show us that, like, very much that echo of what we see or what we lay down sometimes, like earlier in our lives, can come back around and manifest. And yes, I mean, three is the Three of Cups is the celebration. The Ten of Cups is a celebration. There is an integration there. There's a recognition there. And you're right. Like when I kind of alluded to like completion or whatever, then we kind of think about the tens, but there was something about the threes of just like coming together like on this path that felt like I was still like celebrating some kind of a milestone here.
Yes, the Three of Cups abundance is very apropos to this energy as well. We've got Mercury in Cancer, which is a joyous, abundant, expansive meeting of friends old and new, and joining in the celebration of how our hearts overflow when we encounter each other together.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, what we've done here is just kind of give those of you who are watching a little taste of the magic that Andrew and I love to bring to our interpretation and exploration of the tarot. We have conceived this container to be a place where we can play, where we can have fun, where we can make mistakes, where we can learn and grow. And along with that, we're going to now kind of take some time to delve into the meanings behind the cards. But before we do that, we always like to honor our bodies and take a little bit of a dance break in between some of this more fun stuff. So we're going to use this time to take a little bit of transition with some music here. So I'm going to pick a song that is, let's see, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll see if we end up listening to the whole thing. So we started out listening to Suddenly by Drug Dealer and Wise Blood, and this one is called By the Time I Get to... I'm not going to show me the whole title, of course. By the Time I Get to Phoenix by Dorothy Ashby. So enjoy this. Oh man, I did not preview that song ahead of time and it was a jam. I loved that.
That was perfect. Thank you so much for that selection.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is just a harpist. Well, of course I'm gonna do air harp.
Yes. Brilliant.
Oh man, wonderful. Well,
Yeah, that
if
was
you dance
luxurious melody.
along, yeah, oh my God. And it like changed all around. I was like, ooh, this energy is changing. Like this is fun. So thank you for indulging that because that was great. That was exactly what I
That
needed.
is the best version of that early 70s classic I've heard ever.
Oh
That
my
was really a
God.
stunning version.
Oh, okay. So this is a song you know, and it was an instrumental of it.
Yeah, yeah. This is a famous Motown song that's actually much slower and much more kind of mournful. So this is
Okay.
a kind of a playful, upbeat version. So
Thank you for
it's kind
that.
of
I had
appropriate
no
because
idea.
it's combining the Three of Swords energy and the Three of Cups energy because it has like this soulful, heartfelt component, but also this light, playful expression. So yeah, you
Perfect.
nailed it. Nailed it.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Okay. Well, this is how the universe works, Andrew. Um,
That's right.
Wonderful. So that was great. And now we're going to get into like a little bit more of the systematic understanding of the cards, which, like I mentioned before, is just from our interpretations. Andrew's going to weave in his expertise with astrology. I'm going to chime in with what I understand of the cards. And for those of you watching, you get to take what works for you and leave what doesn't, and then also see how the cards resonate with you, because that is the most important thing. And I'm going to again show the Modern Witch Tarot, but then I'm also going to lay over top, the Mystic Mondays tarot as we're kind of looking at it, just so that way we can kind of see different interpretations. And then Andrew's going to hold up his Thoth deck so that way we can just kind of get all of these different artists and experts and academics and intuitives who have interpreted these cards that have been around for generations, and see how, like, the comparison of how they land with different people.
Yes, precisely. So, shall we start off with our major cards to begin with?
That's a great idea. All right, so we're looking at this end of the spectrum here. And then since we already talked about those Three of Swords and Three of Cups, we'll probably just skim over them and then we can do a little bit more of a deep dive into the other threes and the tens.
Yes, exactly. So, as always, the Fool is the character that walks along with us throughout this journey. And the Fool represents openness and beginner's mind and a sense of the optimism about the future and the creative, endless creative possibilities. And it reflects the required leap of faith that we all need to take in order to take on any endeavor that we ever do in life.
Yeah, this card keeps kind of coming up for me as the ultimate reminder of trust and surrender, in saying, you know what, sometimes it's okay to just go and not know. And I love both of these interpretations that I have on the screen here of this, the Mystic Mondays here, where you've got this person who's like holding a flower and looks like they're going to take flight. And then you have the other card up top here where you've got this person just kind of like jamming on their headphones here, and the little puppy who's like jamming alongside. And it's like, whatever happens, happens.
Exactly. Now we move over to the Empress, and the Empress is the expression of the essence of feminine beauty and power. And it has this very regal, magnetic quality. It's kind of embodying, in a sense, like the law of attraction. It's bringing forth like the abundance of nature, the abundance of nurturing that comes from that being in that deep feminine heart. And the Empress card in the Thoth tarot is also an expression of Venus, of the deeply powerful, embodied, nurturing feminine.
Yeah, and this card to me is like the ultimate like take care of yourself card. It's like you need to indulge in the things that bring you fulfillment, not those like fluffy self-care things that are often talked about, but like what brings a deep sense of satisfaction to oneself. And as a double Taurus, the Taurus sun and Taurus moon, this is like the card that I wish I could be all of the time. Like if I could just lay around with bonbons and pomegranates, in like an outdoor area where I'm just enjoying nature and taking care of myself, like I would do it.
Precisely. And now we have the mystical Wheel of Fortune, which is has fairly common symbology in most of the decks. You know, you have a wheel that is spun and it represents opportunity and kind of the magic of not knowing what the future holds. And it's a recommendation to be open to the possibilities that might emerge. And here in the thought deck, it's symbolized by the planet Jupiter. And you'll notice that there are three characters all around. Um, there's a sphinx, which represents wisdom, and a monkey, which expresses playfulness, and the crocodile, which expresses ruthlessness. So the opportunity that arises in the Wheel of Fortune requires both wisdom, playfulness, and ruthlessness to be able to take advantage of it, to create the results that you envision.
I have never seen that interpretation. Like I've never seen those animals on this card, and I love the way you weave that together. Um, it also reminds me of just the fact that like we go through these seasons of life where sometimes playfulness is necessary, ruthlessness is necessary, and was the first one cunning or intellect?
Wisdom and
Wisdom.
wisdom, yes.
Yeah, so like that idea of like, you don't need to necessarily double down on like one thing all of the time, but it's just a reminder with this Wheel of Fortune. It's like you go through seasons just like anything else. There's going to be a time for hibernation like the winter, regeneration like the spring, harvest like the summer, and then letting go like the fall. And throughout all of that, you can embody these different elements of wisdom, playfulness, and ruthlessness or determination.
Yes. And then finally, we have the star. Now, the star is a kind of a spirit of cleansing and reflectivity. The star brings forth qualities of um, sort of nurturing and sharing wisdom with the world. And you'll notice this is embodied by the water bearer, and it's an Aquarius card. So it shows like the process of gathering wisdom throughout your life and then being able to share it generously with others. So you'll see the star is like pouring forth this life giving water. And it's not just physical water, but it's the water of consciousness that flows inside of us and among us.
Mm, that's beautiful. Um, in this traditional Smith Rider Waite interpretation, you've also got the added element of nudity, where you think about kind of like the vulnerability that comes from having like amassed something and then wanting to share it, not from a place of like wanting recognition or return on that, but just being vulnerable to say like this is something that is nurturing to me. This is something that I have collected and that I would like to share forth. Just feels like a beautiful reminder that we go through this life in order to give back. Because when we get to be vulnerable and authentic, we are giving back to the world in that way. And I often also see this card as representing hope, which feels really beautiful, especially in light of the this vertical line being the way it is. It's almost like, to me, when things are up in the air, when we are embodying the Fool and we're letting things kind of run their course and run their seasons, whatever, the things that we have control over are how we tend to ourselves, and then what is like our North Star, what is the thing that we can focus on to guide us, as we like allow whatever happens around us to happen and we kind of surrender to it, we have control over how we tend to ourselves and then what we focus on to lead us forward.
Yeah, I'm noticing as we're reflecting on this that all four of these cards have a representation of wholeness and of a deep sense of self-care, like bringing forth what it is that we, passionately desire for our own nurturing and our own growth. And like we, as if we can weave through each of these energies, it can bring us to a new level of self-awareness and a new level of capacity for self-care and self-development.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we're going to keep those major arcana energies as we delve into the minor arcana threes and tens. Because it's all connected, these are all archetypes of the human experience. And you'll see that with the threes and tens, you get an echo of what we saw with the Empress and the Wheel of Fortune. And then we kind of use the star and the fool as like our overarching themes of like what is it that we're building towards in sort of achieving what we want for ourselves in this like super conscious way.
Yes. So moving into the minor arcana, we'll begin with Three of Swords, which, as I expressed earlier, comes with sort of deep grief and a deep sense of openness to the fact that, without loss, there's no love. Like loss is an inherent part of the process of loving ourselves and one another. And so we have here this the Libra represents the harmony and balance, and Saturn is a kind of a heaviness or a weight or oppression that comes from the process of loss. And this can also reflect some form of tragic love triangle or loss of connection with someone you feel deeply close to. It has those qualities. So feeling that sense of loss and just surrendering to it is an essential part of connecting with this card.
Absolutely. And the only thing I would add is just a reminder that this is a gentle process that does not happen overnight, and you can't think your way through it. Even though the swords tend to be associated with like mental processes and intellect and communication, a lot of times we just have to allow the grief to be there as that reminder of love. Oftentimes we'll try to block whatever we come up with these coping mechanisms to not feel the grief, but that is so essential to our experience as humans.
Yes. Now, shall we move to the Three of Wands? Yes. Okay. The
Sure.
Three of Wands. Here in the thoughts interpretation, it's the sun in the sign of Aries, and it represents kind of moving boldly forward into the future, but with a sense of balance and moderation. The key word here is virtue, and it's the soul taking that impulse to like move forward and take dynamic action, but it's tempered with a sense of the guardrails and the limits and the boundaries that are healthy and supportive.
Mm. What's interesting is that I kind of laid out these cards so they almost told a story. It was almost like having the grief of the Three of Swords move us into this decision to like want to do something different with the Three of Wands, which I think then works with the Three of Pentacles, which we'll talk about kind of like working towards what we want, and then the Three of Cups being like a celebration of that process. So this Three of Wands is kind of like a turning point, I think. It's like, all right, I felt the grief, I put in the work, and now I'm ready to kind of move to the next phase of whatever this journey is going to bring me.
Precisely. Yes. It's that once you move through the grief, you experience empowerment to move forward in a dynamic way that's unique to your own vision. Then we have the Three of Pentacles or the Three of Discs, which is all about building a foundation for the future, something that has kind of groundedness and solidness and allows sort of dynamic action to generate success. And it represents the Mars and Capricorn. So it's taking action in a forward direction to make progress.
Hmm. I think I just learned that my Mars is in Capricorn, and my good friend who's an astrologer has the word fights pragmatically as a part of that. So it's like using kind of your pragmatism to fight for what you want. And I love this card because to me, it's like them being always like the master, the pupil, or the model. Like in any situation, it's still kind of that fool's energy of like, how can I take beginner's mind here? How can I be this vulnerable model? How can I work towards mastery? And how can I look back over at the work that I've done or what I'm teaching to others to continue this perpetuation of growth?
Yes, exactly. It's taking the impulse embedded in the Three of Wands and translating it into healthy, grounded action. And I really like what you said there about these the three archetypes that are expressed in that card. Because in different situations, we all show up as one or more of those as we grow through unique, novel situations.
Absolutely.
And now we come to the celebration moment, the Three of Cups, the abundance, the expression of pure heart-centered joy at the end of the work day, the work week, the work month, the work year, an acknowledgement of all that we have generated and a sharing of fellowship and heart-centered connection. And it's shown here as Mercury in Cancer, the abundance card in the Thoth Tarot.
So it is 3:33 Pacific time right now as we are wrapping up the Three of Cups here, and that just I just felt like I
Perfect.
had to say that. And yeah, there's not much more to say about this card that I didn't already say before, but it just it feels like a card of integration to me. It's like seeing all the parts of oneself, however you identify them. In recovery, we talk about the inner child, the inner teen, and the inner loving parent. So there's like this sense of like, I see you, inner family, and I am just allowing whoever you are to be here with acceptance, with unconditional love.
Precisely. Well spoken.
All right. So now that we've gone through the major arcana, we've gone through the threes, now we're going to talk about kind of like what happens like after we've gone through this initial process of like grief and decision and building and celebrating. How does that then come back around with the tens in the minor arcana?
Yes. So the tens, represent a kind of a fulfillment and culmination. And again, each energy of the previous cards is kind of magnified, if you will. So you have the Three of Swords, which is sorrow, and this is the Ten of Swords. It represents kind of the magnification or the expression of it's almost like an ego death card. It's almost like letting go of parts of yourself that you might think are dear to you, but actually need to be released and let go of. So that is the Ten of Swords, which is called ruin. It's like, okay, well, I need to release these patterns in order to move forward. And it's connected to the Sun in Gemini, which can represent sort of attention fragmented in too many directions.
Mm. Oof, that feels so appropriate for how most of us live our lives, which is like we are thinking about 1,000 things at any given time, and how much of that is keeping us like disconnected from all the other parts of ourselves that need tending. So it is kind of that like the word ruin can like evoke a lot in a person, but it's like what's on the other side of ruin? It's like a chance to rebuild. So we're kind of getting this like culminating like fuck man, I don't want to be fragmented anymore. I don't want to be in 1,000 different directions. What if I was able to take this part of what I thought was always a part of myself and slowly disentangle myself from it?
Precisely. So once we release whatever it is that we are holding on to that needs to be released in the Ten of Swords, then we come up against the ways that we have created self-imposed burdens or self-imposed limitations. And that's the Ten of Wands, which is the oppression card. It's can often represent what feels like an overwhelming burden. It's Saturn and Sagittarius, so there's a way in which our self-expression is being pressured and quashed and pushed into directions that feel burdensome, uncomfortable, or difficult. But we need to kind of push against this in order to release ourselves from self-imposed imprisonment and move into a sense of abundance and productivity and joy.
Yeah, this card to me always kind of just represents burnout. It's like, what am I carrying that is not mine to carry? What is it that I can maybe put down? What can I delegate? But again, kind of looking at this narration or the narrative from like the 10 of Swords, the 10 of Wands, there's a little bit more empowerment here. It's like, all right, I've laid down and accepted that I need this ruin to then get to the point where I collect all of these things and I'm transitioning to, I want to get rid of, or I want to unburden myself from these things that I've been carrying for so long. So there is definitely a sense of like, I've gotten up by my bootstraps. I'm now like holding on to the things that it's almost like this person's like taking out like the trash. It's like, all right, these are all the things I don't want anymore. Here, I'm going to take them out onto the curb so I don't have to deal with them anymore. So there's definitely a sense of like, I have taken the step I need to disentangle myself from that ego death and create something new.
Precisely. Then we move onwards to the Ten of Discs or Ten of Pentacles, the Wealth card. This is gathering the skills and abilities that we've synthesized over our time so far on Earth and building them into something that can be productive and solid and helpful and useful for the future. So this is our um, Mercury and Virgo card. So it's using refinements, cleverness, fine distinctions, intuition to be able to gather this support. And you'll notice in both of these, it's the pentacles are formed in a tree of life pattern. So this is what actually provides the refreshment for new life. And in a sense, it's taking out the trash, like you said before, but it's kind of like bringing out the compost and allowing the compost to source the new form of sustenance and abundance.
Ah, beautifully rephrased. And I didn't recognize the Tree of Life. I just finished reading a book about it. It's called Queer Kabbalah by Empress J. Book, and it was a very fascinating exploration. I'm very new to the idea of the Tree of Life, but I will be excited to kind of see how this card deepens, like the meaning of it deepens with my furthering understanding of that. And this to me is just like the card of legacy. It's like my first deck that I had depicts this as like a library, and it's like three figures who are like all kind of holding each other, looking down like off of the balcony onto this beautiful library where people are just like milling about and looking at books. And it's kind of like creating something that's going to last for generations, that's going to offer something back to the world. It's a collection, it's a communal support to further others. And that just feels kind of like what we were talking about with, I mean, so much of this, it's like the purpose of what we're doing is so that we can take what we've learned and then turn around and pass it around to others. So if we are sitting there hoarding, we are not living in integrity. But if we have created some sort of stability and legacy that allows others to benefit from us, then we've really mastered this Ten of Pentacles.
Precisely. And once again, as in the row of the threes, we conclude with a form of communal celebration in the Ten of Cups. In the Thoth deck, this is called satiety, and it represents, in a way, kind of like Thanksgiving, like everyone gathered together in a spirit of fellowship and celebration. It's Mars and Pisces, and it has this sort of quality of we're here together, we're celebrating each other's accomplishments, and we're celebrating another passage through the cycle of the year and recognizing how we love and support each other through all of our individual struggles.
I've never heard the word satiety before, and I love it. It's great. This card to me also, especially with the way this is depicted here, it kind of feels like a full circle moment with something that a younger version of ourselves would want to celebrate. So it almost looks like the figures in this card here are like both the child version and the adult version, like simultaneously enjoying the same umbrella, but in like a continuous timeline, where it's like an ephemeral moment, right? Like rainbows don't last forever. They're kind of this liminal space, but for the moment, we get to really bask in being satisfied, being able to say, man, we've been through the weeds, we've been through the woods, and here we are coming out into the light. Knowing that, you know, with the tens, we often get this idea of like completion, but it's like, that's temporary, right? We always then start the cycle again, whether it's like going back to the aces or then going into the page energy. Which we're going to get into court cards starting in our next session. But both of those kind of have that beginner energy again, which is why we bring the Fool into all of this, because it's like there's never actually a time we're done with this work that we're here on this planet for. But when we get to those moments of celebration, of savoring, we really need to take them.
Precisely. And this is an invitation to bring forth our best selves with ourselves, with each other, and really stand in celebration of what we have gone through, what we've suffered, what we've learned, what we've accomplished, and bring it together to enhance each other's wisdom and capability.
Beautiful. Well, that concludes our systematic understanding of the cards with Andrew's astrological interpretations, both of our tarot interpretations. And now, what we like to do again is to have a little bit of a dance break in the middle, just to kind of like get all that like good energy out. And then we're going to kind of end with another playful moment and reflection on what we've been doing. So the song that we're going to pick and or we're going to listen to next is called In Close Harmony by Adrian Baker and Roy Morgan. And it's a little under 2 minutes. So that'll be a nice way. Again, I haven't previewed this, but I think it'll be a nice way to have a nice little dance party here.
Oh, that was a great selection. It
Again,
kind of was like a retro Beach Boys, you know?
oh my God, absolutely. And the fact that it was a harmony song, like I didn't know again, like it was an a cappella harmony song, and you have all these beautiful voices like melding together, just really felt like it echoed both the threes and the tens energies that we were just talking about.
That's for sure. Yeah, it was like luxurious and lush and rich and heart opening.
Oh, lovely, lovely. All right, Andrew, are you ready to play again?
Yes,
Okay,
100%.
cool. So I'm just grabbing my cards off of these cards so that way we can see the modern witch again when I share my screen, and then I have the Mystic Mondays to pull from for myself. So that way we can embody two more cards and you can really get a sense of how our interpretations inform our play and just deeper understanding of these cards. So, um, this is not something that you need any training for. So, if you want to just do this yourself at home and pull a card in front of a mirror and just allow yourself to play and embody, I think that would be the most fun thing to do. I mean, I'm having fun doing it with you, but I'm saying, like, if you're at home and watching this and we're like, can I do that? You don't need any training. You can just do it.
Okay, so are we ready?
Do you have a card already? I haven't shuffled yet.
I sure do.
Okay, go for
I'm
it.
all set to go. I am resolved. I am ready. I am prepared. I'm pulling on my tool belt. I'm strapping on my boots. I'm shouldering my pack. And I'm ready to take steps and steps and steps and steps forward into the future. Not veering too much to the left, not veering too much to the right, taking a grounded, calm center path. I am resolved. I am ready. I am prepared. Let's go.
This is what came to mind for me, for the Three of Pentacles, kind of doing those like meticulous steps over and over again towards what we want to build with that steady determination.
Oh, I love it. So I was actually embodying the card right before that, which is the decision, like the Three of Wands decision point. Like, okay, I've gone through this passage of sorrow. I've let go of my grief, and I'm ready to take bold steps moving forward.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's really fun actually when we get it wrong, because then we get a chance to kind of see where the other one is thinking. And this goes to show you that like not one interpretation is right or wrong. Like we all get to play with what it means to us and how we interpret it.
That's right. It's all a reflection of our personal, unique spot on the sacred circle, and getting to share that as each other understand the symbols more deeply for ourselves as well as one another.
All right, are you ready for mine?
Yes.
Okay. Our mateys, we got this buried treasure map here. We got to be making it all the way to the island where X marks the spot. And so we must navigate. We must navigate, but we must be focused. We must follow our hearts. No, there be the stars by which we be navigating. First matey, come on over and steer us that way. We must make our way there over the next several weeks so we can get to our buried treasure.
Whoa, I love it. Well, there's many possibilities here. I'm kind of feeling the wheel of fortune for creating this map that kind of points us in the direction. It almost looks like a compass But there's another way in which perhaps it's the star, like the star is sort of like this figure who's like uncovering the sort of liquid gold or liquid treasure beneath. So um, let me know
Yeah,
what you
I,
come up with there.
I went totally literal. I was like, well, I'm following a star. So I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
like said it in the thing. But I mean, when I really think about like, whatever the buried treasure could represent, right? It's like that, like you said, kind of digging forth, but it's also like using that as the guide for moving forward. And the fact that you brought in the idea of a wheel of fortune being a compass is really lovely because um with compasses, right? Like they change depending on like what the weather is doing, like if a ship is turning or if you're walking through the woods or something and you're kind of losing focus, like you can come back to kind of this like guiding force, which can be the star, but also it's kind of like the acceptance that like you're going to veer off course every once in a while. So it was the star, but I think the Wheel of Fortune made a beautiful I don't know, like it was like a leading, or no, it was a supporting character in this scene.
A supporting character, exactly. Awesome. So, friends,
Wonderful.
this is how we express ourselves through these interpretations of the cards, and how we reveal like what is it that is alive for us, like what is it that stimulates our minds and hearts to wake up to the possibilities.
Yeah, and this is an exciting ongoing play shop series. This is our third one in a series of seven. So again, if you are watching this sometime in the realm of February, March, April of 2023, and you like what you saw, there are opportunities to come play with us. We will link everything in the description box here on YouTube and then wherever we share it out in other social media. So we would love to play with you. Even if you don't have any experience with tarot, with astrology, with acting or improv, just come and play and see what happens.
Yeah, please come join us. We're welcoming you with open arms, and we'd love to celebrate and share and develop our common knowledge and understanding and see how our hearts connected can open up new possibilities.
Lovely. And Andrew, you're coming up with a keyword today, or a secret
Yes,
word, a
so my
password, whatever we're going to call it.
yeah, so the secret word is harmony. So if you listen to the end of this, go ahead and put harmony in the bottom of the comments, and then we'll know that you've reached us and you've carried through with us for our entire journey.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that that echoes, the harmonizing song that we heard, the harp song that we heard, and just thinking about these threes and these tens, and this third line of the major arcana sort of being one of working towards harmony in whatever way that means to us.
Exactly. So shall we close up with a little meditation?
Let's do it.
Okay, so go ahead and feel your feet on the ground, put your hand on your heart, take some deep breaths. And just imagine these three deep breaths moving into your heart. And again, three deep breaths moving down your spine, through your coccyx, through your sacrum, and down to the center of the earth. And now three deep breaths moving up your spine, up through your crown chakra, and connecting to the vibrant center of the sun. And when you're ready, open your eyes and take one final deep breath as you connect with the entire circle and feel yourself released to the journey of the Pisces weekend.
Yes, yes, or whatever weekend it is, or day, whenever you were watching this. Thank you for joining us, and Andrew, thank you as always for your energy, for your expertise, and for your enthusiasm. It is infectious, and it did feel like a good series. Like this felt like a really nice session together.
Absolutely wonderful and very inspiring. And thank you again, Carrie, for your hosting and your magical selections and the creative, vibrant juice that you bring every session. It's really, really satisfying.
Thank you. And if you're interested in participating in Comedy Astrology Tarot Education, you'll find the information below, and we will see you in the next session.
Woo!